and then you went into that changing room, into the locker room. Then you had your jersey hung up, like everything was prepared for you. You had Gatorade, you had tons of Gatorade. And
Do you know what? Welcome back to another episode with me, your host, Georgeonsports. And with me today is a main man, wide receiver from the NFL Academy, Bryan Winter. Bryan, how are you? And thank you for joining the show, man.
Thank you for letting me join the show. And yeah, I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. I've had my eye on you for a while. I obviously came to see you play at Tottenham Stadium. We'll come to that later. But I see you score them touchdowns, and I said to myself, I got to get this guy on the show. So I'm pleased that you're here today. So for people who don't know, Bryan is actually born from Germany and raised in Germany. And he's actually the first player in the NFL Academy with Singaporean heritage. So big up you for flying that flag, and big up to everyone back in Singapore as well. Because believe it or not, there will be people watching this and people who are seeing what you're doing and want to copy exactly, the way you're moving with the progress that you're making. So with that, we're going to talk about you and the sport. Now, you're 18 years old, which I find incredibly hard to believe because I've seen you play. I've seen the huddle, I've seen the highlights, and you're one hell of a talent. So before we come to your playing experience in Germany, I know you played with the Cologne Crocodiles for a while. Let's go all the way back and talk about your first introduction to the sport. When were you first introduced to the sport of American football?
Yeah, so my first introduction to the sport was actually with a friend. So I've been childhood friends with him for, till now. And so he's from the States. So, growing up with him, he introduced me playing football a little. And so we were just in the backyard, always, just throwing some balls, having a little bit of fun. And then there was Super Bowl 50. I don't know if you guys remember. Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton.
Hey, I'm a Colts fan. I know he was with the Broncos, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I decided, well, why not just give it a shot and watch it? And I just fell in love with the sport. It was so amazing. I mean, everything about that Super Bowl 50, the show, still remember. Keep watching it till this day. Coldplay, I think it was
Beyonce, Bruno Mars.
Wow, it was amazing. Yeah. And so, I just fell in love with the sport, and I said, you know what? I also want to play. Now, I set that goal in my mind. I want to make it to the NFL. So, I think, how old was I? Around 10 or 11.
Wow.
So that was when I knew, okay, I need to start with this sport.
Yeah.
Then I went to the Cologne Falcons. It's a smaller club. They used to be big in Germany. Then, I don't know, they fell apart a little. So I went there, tried out, and I was pretty fast already at the young age. So I stick to receiver. Then I always had a couple of switches going back to QB, receiver, free safety, now I'm stuck with the receiver, which I'm quite happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, because again, you seem like one of those receivers who you look like a pure wide receiver, and I'll explain that later in the show. But you obviously then, you fell in love with the sport because you saw the Super Bowl 50, which, by the way, was a great Super Bowl to watch. And there are many people like yourself who probably would have, taken a liking to the sport in the same way you did because of that game. You obviously go from the Falcons, but then you obviously go to play for the Cologne Crocodiles too, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How long did you play with the Crocodiles for?
So I only played with them for 2 seasons. This year was my last season with them until I transitioned to the academy.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem at my old club was that we didn't have a QB. And I was pretty much the most athletic person in the team. So I just got the ball into my hands and, just ran the ball pretty much. That was the game plan. But I'm quite happy that I changed because we had QBs there, so I could, live out my full potential as a receiver.
Basically, guys, what we're saying is Bryan's that guy who's Mr. Utility. He's Mr. Clutch. You get the ball in his hands and he's going to make it happen. But the thing is, I can confidently say that because I've seen the footage and I've seen you play. I've seen you live in the flesh. I was with you in Frankfurt not too long ago. And the kid can play. Trust me, the kid can play. Cologne Crocodiles for a couple of seasons. I mean, I see you scoring the touchdowns. I see you with the highlight plays. And you can tell when someone is really into their game, into their craft. It seems like something you've worked on as well. I mean, you're talking about the age of 10, 11, where you wanted to, invest, and you've confidently done that. You can tell in the way you play, your style, your stance, your route running as well, which is something I'm sure people who know the sport will understand. It takes a while to be able to improve. But for me, one of the things that I noticed, in particular in your footage, seeing the footage and seeing you live, is as a wide receiver, I would say one of your best attributes is going up and getting that ball. I don't know if you would agree, but I see
No,
it
I
time and time
definitely agree.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how to climb that. You know how to pinpoint the ball right at the top, and head top guys. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my best crafts, I would say. It's just, that anticipation on when to jump for the ball. I think it comes with experience. So I've been playing for like 7 years now, which is a really long time. And of course, like after a while, you're you're just anticipating when to jump for the ball. So I would say that's just more of an experience. Like
Yeah.
all the hard work was really put into my route running, which I'm proud of. I would say I'm quite okay. I'm not, on that level yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, yeah. So, how old were you when you first took up the sport, and did you ever play flag football, or did you go straight into contact?
So in Germany, most of the times we start directly with contact football. So I started with like 11 or 12, something around that.
Mhm.
And so it was just five-man tackle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, that
Okay.
was my first contact.
hmm And in terms of, obviously, you built your experience up in Germany with the Falcons and then the Crocodiles. Obviously, at some point you make the switch and you then come over to the academy. So before we talk about that, how did you even hear about the academy?
So the first time I heard about the academy was I don't know if you remember the huge tryout in Tottenham Stadium.
The international combine.
When it all started, that's when I like, oh cool, it's an academy, NFL academy, like Juju Smith-Schuster was there,
Mm,
bunch of other guys were there as well. But I think at that time I was too young, and so I was like, oh yeah, I would just keep on playing here. And then I tried to go on a high school in America, but that didn't work out for several reasons.
hmm
And so yeah, I thought I'll give this another shot. So Coach Ian, our wide receiver coach, he contacted me. I also spoke with a couple of the old coaches from last year. They
Okay.
also invited me to the combine in Düsseldorf.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just attended that, and then from that we just kept on going, kept on building up the relationship. It's pretty much like a college
Yeah.
recruiting,
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you've known of the academy. Obviously, you were too young when you wanted to join. So I guess you've been continuing to work and grind with the thought in the back of your mind that eventually you want to make it into the NFL academy. It's got to feel pretty special to know that that was kind of the plan. And I'm talking to you right now, and you've got the NFL academy shirt on. You're repping them loud and proud, and you're a very integral part of that squad. I will say too. What does that feel like to you? Because not a lot of people get to set out a goal, and this is on the way to your goal of hopefully making it into the league or making it into one of the teams in college football, where you've seen the sport, you've set a goal, you couldn't join the academy at the time, and here you are now as part of the academy. You played a couple games, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But how does that feel in terms of the journey? Because it seems like everything's going to plan so far.
Yeah, I mean it's quite like surreal, I would say, still, to just being able to showcase my skills and just being a part of the academy and being a part of the family. Because it's a dream for a lot of players. Like internationally, you've heard of the academy, and now just being a part of it is like, wow, you kind of made the first step towards your goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite cool.
And in terms of the goals and the progress that you're looking to make on your way to achieving that goal, let's talk about your time with the academy, in particular some of the games. So again, I've said I wanted you on the show, and there's a very good reason. I mean, you stand out quite a lot in terms of when you look at a squad and you look at skill positions and you see what people can do. You can tell someone who's into their game. You can tell someone who's got the vibe, who's got the work rate, who can run the routes. And you're that guy. I mean, it is what it is. That is what you are. So in your first game with the academy, you scored 2 touchdowns, right? In
Yeah.
your second game with the academy at Tottenham Stadium, where I have to say I was present, I was there, I was live in the flesh, sitting in them stands. Number 7 is making plays all over the field, catching another 2 touchdowns. One in the back of the end zone on a scramble drill where I think your QB, he moves to his left and he directs a couple of guys to his right, and there you are at the back of the end zone. Slightly bobbled, but managed to grab the ball in the end zone and score with the trademark celebration, spinning that ball on the dime with the arms out. I remember it all like it was yesterday, man. And in that same week, you get your first D1 offer from Campbell University.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Sum up those 2 games, and then to cap it off, getting that Division 1 offer. I mean, again, we talk about the journey. We talk about the process. You are living it live in the flesh. Just sum that up for me if you can.
Yeah. So the first game was against IMG, which was a huge deal. I mean, the academy lost to IMG last year, so everyone, took it a little more personal. And yeah, I mean, we all had that dog in us, I would say. Like, we have to win this. We have to show that us Europeans, we can play football. We can defeat American teams. We're just as good as them. Mm-hmm. So we went out with that mentality, and I mean, we just stuck to our game plan, I would say. Mm-hmm. We executed everything almost perfectly, and in the end, it all worked out. I scored 2 touchdowns, which was great. I didn't even think about scoring maybe 1,
Yeah.
And then scoring 2 is like, wow, okay. But yeah, then 4 days later or 5 was against Erasmus Hall. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really have a lot of break in between because we had to keep training, keep preparing for Erasmus Hall. So we had 4 days to prepare for Erasmus Hall. Mm-hmm. So we had to, watch film, create different plays.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge switch. And but yeah, I mean, we still, after that win, we were confident we can pull this off again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we just did what we did best. We threw the ball a lot, we ran the ball a lot, and executed everything how we would draw it up.
But what was it like playing at Tottenham Stadium? Because let me just say, right, that's the first time the academy had played in Tottenham Stadium. Number 1. Number 2, Tottenham Stadium is officially the home of American football in the UK. Number 3, I think it's the only purpose-built NFL stadium in Europe.
Yeah.
And the level of guys that play there. The Packers played there, the Vikings played there, the Saints played there. Like, all these teams are playing, and you guys are here on the field. Was it a Friday night? I forget what night it was. It was under the lights.
Yeah.
And you had
it was a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Yeah. Which was a little bit odd, but
yeah,
I mean, you're playing in Tottenham Stadium, so
yeah,
I mean, we arrived there by bus. We went through the security gates. We were like real NFL players.
It must have felt great, right?
Oh, that was so amazing.
Yeah.
You went through, and then you went into that changing room, into the locker room. Then you had your jersey hung up, like. Everything was prepared for you. You had Gatorade, you had tons of Gatorade. And...
Do you know what? Gatorade, when we talk about American football, right, and I think anyone who watches the NFL or college ball will know, Gatorade holds such weight. I know it's just a drink, but it's one of them things, right? You walk into a locker room and you see Gatorade. I feel like this is it. I don't know why, but there's always that feeling behind it. You got the jersey, you got the Gatorade, you got the different flavors. So I can only imagine how that felt for you. Again, I keep coming back to the journey because each of these developments that you keep making are taking you one step closer to the goal, and I guess for you, it's a case of looking back to when you were 10 or 11 and you've watched Super Bowl 50 and now you're here in the flesh and you've played a couple games. You played at Tottenham Stadium, which not many people can say they've done. They might have walked on the field, but you've played a game there. Yeah. And you scored 2 ridiculous TDs there as well, where you're jumping over guys and head-topping guys. So, no, it's a testament to your hard work, to your craft, refining your craft and, sticking to the game plan. But not only that, you also took part in the Destroying 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Which, again, was at Tottenham Stadium. So, at this point, it's basically your home, man. You're living it up. And, again, I was there and I've not actually released this yet, but I've still got to edit that and get it out.
Mm.
But although you never made it to the final 1-on-1, you were making guys look silly, and I see some clips out there where you know I was like, I recognize this guy. This is number 7 from the academy. He's about to do a madness. And lo and behold, I'm not sure who it was you was up against. You sat the guy down on his ass as if he wasn't there, and went on to make the catch. What was that like for you, having someone like Destroying, who's a very, very big name, especially in the States? You know, he's raising the profile of the game pretty much all around the world, and he's there live in the flesh, in amongst it when you guys are making big plays like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was Destroying was also there at our game on the sideline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the video. He always makes that videos where he's on the sideline of high school teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, he had a video about us. He was there and just watching someone you grow up watching on the sideline next to you, talking to you, talking about you, and just hyping you up. It's also like a dream come true.
Very surreal.
Like, you've made it to Destroying. I mean, who can say that? Not many people can say that.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things on your list that a lot of people can't say. You know,
but
you got into the academy, you played at Tottenham Stadium, you've scored 2 touchdowns at Tottenham Stadium, you've met Destroying in the flesh, and then you're playing and taking part in one of his tournaments. So far, so good, bro. So far, so good. But it doesn't stop there, because you're from Germany, and you were lucky enough to go back to Germany, specifically Frankfurt, where we had the Colts and the New England Patriots, which was the second game of the weekend. The first weekend was the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Again, I bumped into you on the sidelines. You were live and direct, there, taking it all in. And you actually got to take part in some Sky Sports coverage too.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you, going back to Germany, where it all started for you, and now you're there watching 2 NFL teams go head to head? It must have been quite an experience, man.
Yeah, I mean, we got to fly out because of NFL Germany and their collaboration with TikTok. So they wanted to promote the NFL German games, you know, even more on TikTok, on Instagram, and all these kind of platforms. So us at the academy, we were like, you know what, we have to send some of our German players. I got lucky enough to get flying out and being on the sideline, just soaking all of the crowd noises in, and it was just
you were right there. You was like at the end zone, because I remember having a chat, and you were literally right there with a couple of teammates.
The end zone. We met a bunch of football stars, and it was just like living a dream, you know.
I can imagine.
Then during our Sky Sports interview, we got to go down. I think it was like in the middle of the third quarter, so everyone was loud, making noises, and then you're standing there at the sideline doing an interview. I mean, it was just so crazy. And then, of course, the Germans, they love the sport. I mean, their love for the sport is immense. So, you know, it just makes me proud to be part of the German football community, and then also just creating a pathway for younger people, for the younger generation, to pretty much live out their dream and the dreams that I've also been dreaming of. Yeah,
absolutely. And you say that, but man, you're only 18. So does that mean you've got, how many more years have you got at the academy before you can potentially move on?
I got 1 more year, so this is my first year, so I've got another year. I mean, just getting an offer after 2 games is crazy. It's I've never even thought about that, to be honest.
I know, man. It's crazy, but I mean, again, it's what happens when you have a game plan, you have a goal, and you stick to that, and you put the hard work in. And obviously, you've got that one Division 1 offer already, and I have no doubt that they will come flooding in as time goes on. So you got to do, just keep doing what you're doing, keep your head down, keep working. And on that note, before we wrap up, obviously applications are open now for people to join the academy. This was once where you were in the shoes of these people who wanted to apply. So what words of advice would you give to anyone who's wanting to apply to the NFL Academy?
Just take your shot. Definitely apply. This is the greatest opportunity you can get. Doesn't matter how long you've played football for. I played for 7 years, but we have people who've never played football before. So, I mean, it's open for everyone as long as They see you're athletic enough, you know how to play ball. They see that you put in hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's the best decision of my life. So yeah, whatever you guys do, just join the academy.
Guys, you've heard it there live in the flesh. Number 7, wide receiver for the NFL Academy, hailing from Germany, representing the Singaporeans as well. And yeah, you've heard his story. You know, he had the goal, he had the aim, and he's living it live in the flesh. What a year you've had, Bryan. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm going to be tracking your progress for sure. And hopefully, I'll have you back on the show, either when you do make your commitment or when you've been out there and you've played the season of college ball, because we have to do this again 100%.
Definitely. Thank you for having me on the show.
More than welcome, guys. I've been George from Georgeonsports, here with Bryan, number 7 from the wide receiver at the NFL Academy, and we'll catch you on the next episode.